Good evening everyone. It's a pleasure to have you today as we talk about our usual series that we've been talking about. It's a pleasure to have you this Friday evening and to have this great conversation with you. My name is Jonan Kandwanaho and I'm the CEO and founder at Jonaki Holdings Limited, where we offer credit, we give money. So we offer credit. If you need money and you need it super quick, you can always check us out. You can also check us out on our website at www.jonakiholdings.com every Friday from 5:30 to 6. I reduce the time to 20 minutes, so from 5:30 to maybe 5:50 to make the conversation hot and classic. So you can always check us out on our YouTube, because every video that I shoot every Friday is posted on my YouTube channel, Jonan Kandwanaho. So just open YouTube, type in Jonan Kandwanaho, and then you can subscribe, you can like that YouTube channel, and also click that bell so that every video that is posted, you actually are notified. It is free of charge. They don't charge you for subscribing or even clicking on that bell to watch that video. So let's get at it. So I've been doing a number of series. It's a series that I've been doing. I've done part 1, part 2, and today I'm doing part 3 of the 7 cures for a lean pass. And I gave a preamble in the video part 1. You'll check it out and check out the introduction and what informed the discussion along that line. If I could give a brief, is that whichever amount of money that you're earning, find someone is earning 10 million, others 5 million Uganda shillings, others 3 million Uganda shillings. But at the end of the month, you're almost in the same basket. You're all broke. So what brings about that? Because you don't earn similar monies. But definitely at the end of the day, you find that you're all broke. And what causes that is that there are several factors, and those are the cures I've been talking about. You need to establish what it is that is causing that. We earn different monies, but why are we all broke? Why? And then, why should we earn little money if you're earning little money? Ideally, you're meant to earn probably higher money so that you can keep some for your personal or for paying yourself, like part 1 said, because paying yourself is saving. Paying yourself is not all you earn should be spent. So it means that if all you earn is spent, there are two things. You're either earning little money, and then you have to patch it up and step up the amount of money that you're earning, or you have to check, which is part 2, control your expenditure so that some money can remain for you. Then you're paying yourself. You're paying yourself. You only pay yourself if you're saving some money, not if you're spending it. You only pay yourself if you're saving some money. So if you're not saving some money, there could be 2 challenges. One could be that you're earning perhaps less money, and that's a challenge as well. So what that calls for is for you to watch part 1, paying yourself. So if you earn less money, then you have to increase your income. That will be part 4 of the talk. And then 2, it could be that you're spending all the money that you're earning. So you have to control your expenditure, which is part 2 of the cure of the lean pass. So at the end of the day, we are trying to assess how can we cure a lean pass. A pass is like a wallet. If your pass is lean, it means it is small. It is pumped in, or it is packed in. Pumped might make it look bigger, as if it is filled up. Have you had a wallet and it has a lot of money? Maybe dollars or whichever money, or it has a number of notes. It tends to bulge. So that means your purse is not lean. But as you pick out one leaf at a go, one note at a go, the purse becomes leaner. For those who happen or who tend to buy stuff and you go out shopping with a purse which is bulged, but when you go step out and start spending, pick out few leaves or few notes at a go, it tends to lean or to lean up. So that's what we're talking about. So we're trying to see how can we cure our lean passes. So today's part, which is part 3, we are looking at multiplying your monies or investing your monies. It is part 3. So you're meant to multiply your money. How do you start your money to multiply? Granted, we've seen the first part where we say that you're paying yourself first. Now, you're not going to keep at saving alone, because as a matter of fact, the banks do not give you any return on investment or any return on your savings at the bank account where you keep your money. If you keep your money in the pot, instead of even appreciating, given the inflation and all, if, for example, 3,000 would buy a liter of fuel sometime in 2010, now you need twice the amount of money to afford a liter of fuel, now at 6,000. Now, you do not know what tomorrow brings, but you might find that in 2022, 23, the liter of fuel might be thrice the price. So you can imagine, for someone who kept 3,000 in 2010, can only buy half a liter of fuel. So even if you keep your money, it will not appreciate. It's actually acted upon by inflation. Inflation is when your money actually buys less, because the more we move further, your money buys less. So even if you kept it, you'd still buy less in the future. So what does that call for? It calls for you investing the money. It calls for you not keeping the money in the savings account. Yes, if you're paying yourself first, and perhaps you have a savings account or you have an investment club, like I encouraged in part 1, like you have the circle that you're saving with or bank that you're saving with. At the end of the day, you need to see how you can actually multiply the income that you have. And that's when you're going to enjoy the paying of yourself. The paying of yourself is not saving alone, but also saving money with the intention to actually multiply it. Ultimately, you have to make it work. You have to make money work for you. So you have to invest it. You must have been in some of the circles or investment clubs where you've been saving for maybe a year or 2 years. And you know the return every year is maybe 5% or 8% per annum. You're actually operating below inflation. If the central banking rate is at 7 and if the inflation is at 3.5 or something, you might find you're in losses. So you might have to make hard decisions as a person and maybe exit that club. If the return on investment is at least, if it's less than 15% per annum, then you had better move out of that investment club. You had better move out of that circle. Why? Because the head of that circle, the head of that investment club, or the head of that saving thing that you have should be thinking for you, especially if that person is paid, because it makes a lot of big difference if someone is volunteering or if he's being paid. And for those who volunteer, time should come when you should start getting paid. Why? Because whatever thing that you're paid for, you tend to think about it further. You tend to think about it more. And you tend to think outside the box. And ultimately, you have to make the money work. Otherwise, I shouldn't be saving in that club. I shouldn't be saving in that circle. Why? Because the money is meant to be multiplying. It's meant to be multiplying, or else we are going down the drain as a circle. We're going down the drain as an investment club. There are several investment ventures that can actually assure you a return of not less than 25% per annum. And they are less risky. Look at it this way. Even if you looked out for real estate, because ideally you're meant to disperse your risk according to the risk matrix of the high risk, mid risk, and low risk. So based on the interests of the members of the club or a circle, people have different risk appetites. You have a number of guys who are risk takers in your circle or a club, and you have those who are risk averse, and you have those who are risk neutral. So it means that you have to cater for the risk appetite of the different categories of the members that you're serving. Now this is directed to the head of the club or whoever is heading investment in that club or circle or that savings group. So it means that when you're doing your investments, you're trying to multiply your resources, you have to cater for the different risk appetites for the different members of the club. For those who are risk neutral, you have to balance up. Perhaps you invest in mid risks, maybe equities, maybe umbrella funds, mutual funds. They are mid risk because you're assured of your money coming back, but the returns are not as good as well. And you also have to appreciate that the higher the risk sometimes, or most of the time, the higher the return on investment. So it means that the ventures that we're investing in, they have better returns to the tunes of 50, 100% return on investment might be risky. For example, lending amongst yourselves. I mean, some guys just borrow money beyond their savings and they scatter, they run away. So the interest is good, yes. Perhaps you're lending at 5% per month. That's about 60% return on investment annually, which is very, very good. But also, you're exposing yourself. It is risky. So how you sieve or how you tighten the small holes so that there's less filtration or less leakage, the better for you. So back to the risk appetites of the different members. You have to disperse your investments in those different categories. Low risk, mid risk, high risk, so that all the members that are saving with you, their risk appetites are catered for. But more so, looking at the interest rates, if you've been saving alone, the rate is too low. But if you start investing, it should give you at least 15% per annum. Even if you chose low risk, very, very low risk, like land, real estate. If you got a nice piece of land, it should assure you a return on investment of not less than 20% per annum. Catering for inflation and everything, 20% per annum. You are sure, unless you do not do your due diligence, unless you do not take your time to assess the value of the property at hand, and you make it and you buy higher compared to the market price. Because you see, a deal gets to be better or bad at the point of purchase, at the point of start of a deal. So it means that if you're buying the land, the deal should make sense at the time of purchase. So it means that if you buy that land expensively, irrespective of the venture you're buying, you're investing in, however low risk, the return will still be low. Why? Because you bought above the market price. So that means you have to do your homework. That means you have, if it's a circle or a group or a savings group or a club, you have to trust your members or head of investment to be integral enough, because some of the guys connive with the owners of the properties. And he says, you know what, I'm going to value your property some few millions above the market value, so that whichever money that you buy it, we should actually, you give me some kickback, you give me some money, because then I'll have sold your property higher. And you know, that's how people do some of the deals, which is not right. So you as members, or as the leaders of the club or circle, whichever it is, you have to agree and make sure that whoever is heading investment or whoever is doing your transactions in that area, you're insulated. As a matter of fact, you need to engage an expert to give you a report. This is an expert to work with, Vaz Consult. I'm proud to associate with them. If you engage an expert and they're integral, they'll help you a lot. Why? Because before you buy a property, you know its for sale value, you know the market value. And you know whether you're making a very huge counter offer or a very low offer, so that you can step up your offer. If you have an expert, because you might not be a registered valuer or an expert in that area, and you tend to think you can rely on the words, in this area, a plot goes for this, through word of mouth. But even then, if you don't have an expert opinion or a report to that effect, you'll hit a snag, you'll get out of business. So you need an expert to guide you accordingly. You need an expert to guide you. It could be a cost, but he will save you a lot of other costs that you can incur. You could look at the fee that you're giving him as high or as wasteful, but you can imagine if you're going to buy a plot that is worth 50 million Ugandan shillings, and you're thinking that's the market value, and yet when you engage the guy, he confirms that the market is at 40 million. You can actually lower your offer, or else you get out of business, you get out of the deal. He will have saved you 10 million, and yet you're paying this guy maybe 400,000 or 500,000 or 250,000, because some of these rates are negotiable. So you think you're saving in the short run, but in the long run, you're falling into a ditch. You're falling into a ditch. You're falling out of business. And before you know it, you buy a property expensively. And by the time you even raise it to sell it at the AGM, or perhaps you say, you know what, as a circle or as a club, we bought this property at the start of the year, but we want to sell it at the end of the year so that we can make some proceeds. You get shocked that the property you bought at 50 million actually is 45 million as of now. That's after a year or 2 years. And that's when it dawns on you that you made a wrong investment. Why? Because you thought you're an expert and yet you're not an expert. Why? Because you thought you know what it was I was trading, or the price that I was running at that moment, it was a wrong price. It was a wrong price. So I bought expensively. So that's why I emphasize that the deal is good or bad at the point of purchase, at the start of the deal. So back to the multiplication. It means that you have to do your due diligence to look at the low risk that will show a return of not less than 20% per annum. I gave an example of land. You are assured low risk, but even then you can get it wrong if you do not get it right at the point of purchase. Now, if you go mid-risk, that might give us good returns where you can invest. There are several instruments: mutual funds, UAP, umbrella funds, equities. So you also need to do your homework. Some of these rates are negotiable. If UAP says that they are giving you maybe 25 or 23% return on investment per annum, it also calls for the amount you're putting on table. You cannot come and you're putting on 100,000, 1 million on table, and you want a return on investment of maybe 25% per annum. They will not give you. So you'll have a different negotiation level or hand in negotiation versus the person who has 500 million to put on table or 1 billion shillings to put on table. You'll have different rates. The other guy who has a lot of money will have an edge. Why? Because these guys are going to invest in some assets that will make a lot of sense. And then they will be goyaring in quotes. You know, they will be interested in the guy who has a lot of money than he who has little money to put on table. So it means that you also have to have enough money, or you must have saved a lot or enough to sit on table of men to negotiate on the rates, which the umbrella funds or equities or mutual funds can actually give you. And it means that the lower money that you have, or the lower amount of money that you have, the less likely you're going to front your rate you would like to be given. That's for mid-risk. So the returns are really moderate to good for mid-risk, but also the amount of money that you have saved comes into question. In all this discussion, we're trying to see how can we multiply our money so that we can address the third cure for our lean purse, so that our purse can get cured, can get bulging, can get growing, can get expanding, so that you can grow your purse. And then for high risk, usually what I advise most of the clubs and the investment clubs and the circles is that lend to yourselves, lend amongst yourselves. Even if it were 3% per month, that's good percentage annually. Even if you're to put it at 2.5%, it's good rate already. But most of the guys do it at 5%. You see, the difference it makes is that ultimately the money comes back to you. If I am saving with a circle and I'm paying at 5% per month, I know that the AGM, or when we're sharing the dividends and the profits, I'll benefit of the monies that I'm paying. Yet, if I was paying the bank, or if I was paying another lender or something, or Jonaki Holdings Limited to that effect, I will not share on the interest and the profits at the end of the year. So it might look like I'm countering our company progress, or I'm countering our business. But if you grow and I grow, all of us will be happy. I would also like to serve you when your cash flows are good. Even if you have a good collateral, if you don't have the good cash flows, it becomes tricky for us to serve you. Why? Because ultimately you're committing this collateral to us and you're saying, look, my cash flows are not good. I'm committing this huge or expensive collateral. In case I fail to pay, you take it. But you see, our interest is not to clash with you. Our interest is not, because foreclosures are not usually peaceful. We want to part ways with you as peacefully as possible. And that's why we want to ensure that your cash flows are good. And that's why I do these talks, so that you can grow your finances. By the time you come to Jonaki Holdings Limited to get a loan or a credit facility, you're already somewhere. You're not getting this loan to start a business. You're getting this loan to scale up. You're getting this loan to clear that consignment for a short period of time and then pay back. And all of us are in business and all of us are happy. That's why I make time. That's why I endeavor. That's why I labor to come and speak to us, to grow our cash flows, to grow our income, to cure our lean passes, so that our passes can expand and we meet at the top, God willing. That's why I make this endeavor. So it might look, some of the talks might look as if I'm countering our efforts, as if I'm countering the lenders, but in real fact, we are supporting one another. It is a symbiotic relationship. All of us are growing, all of us are getting happy, because you wouldn't want to lose, and I wouldn't want to lose. So with that, I'd like to bring it to a close. Thank you for your time. It ends while it's still hot. Always check out our YouTube channel, Jonathan Kandwanaho, subscribe, and you'll get to learn one or two things. But above all, as I've already said, if you learn one or two things that I do not implement, we are at a loss, both of us, because I'll have wasted my time, I'll have wasted my data, and so have you, your data and your airtime. So kindly do me a favor, do yourself a favor, go pick 1, 2, 3 things, go and implement. If you've not been saving, go and start saving based on part 1. If you've not been investing, or if you've been a big spender, all the money is being spent, go and watch part 2 and do something. Do something. Pick 1, 2 things and go and do and implement. If you've been saving in circles and they've been dormant, they've not been giving you good returns on investment, pinch them, press them at the AGM, press them, fire them. Because you have the rights at the AGM, you can fire them, switch them, turn them around, so that your money can actually get growing, so that you can apply your monies. So with that, I wish you a great Friday.